Black eye perspective. Hello and good afternoon to everyone that is watching here in the world of YouTube. We are continuing today with our reading of Ezekiel 20. And, oh wow, I wonder what that is. Oh, there we go. I figured what it is. I'm actually hearing a double of myself because I had a window open that actually made me hear double. Wow, I am really Lucy sometimes. I really am. There's a lot of times where I just feel like Gilligan. But nonetheless, today we are continuing our reading of Ezekiel 20, and it is dealing with rebellion that Israel had in Egypt. So we'll just get right into it. We are actually reading from the Berean Study Bible. And again, we are coming from Ezekiel chapter 20, starting with verse 1. All right? In the 7th year, on the 10th day of the 5th month, some of the elders of Yasharal came to inquire of Yahweh. They sat down before me. Then the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, speak to the elders of Yasharal and tell them that this is what Elohim Yahweh says. Have you come to inquire of me? Surely as I live, I will not be consulted by you, declares Elohim Yahweh. Will you judge them? Will you judge them, son of man? Confront them with the abominations of their fathers, and tell them that this is what Elohim Yahweh says. On the day I chose Yasharal, I swore an oath to the descendants of the house of Jacob and made myself known to them in the land of Egypt. With an uplifted hand, I said to them, I am Yahweh, your Elohim. And on that day, I swore to bring them out of the land of Egypt into a land that I had searched out for them, a land flowing with milk and honey, the glory of all lands. And I said to them, each of you must throw away the abominations before his eyes, and you must not defile yourselves with the idols of Egypt. I am Yahweh, your Elohim. But they rebelled against me. They refused to listen. None of them cast away the abominations before their eyes, and they did not forsake the idols of Egypt. So I resolved to pour out my wrath upon them and vent my anger against them in the land of Egypt. But I acted for the sake of my name, that it should not be profane in the eyes of the nations among whom they were living, in whose sight I had revealed myself to Yasharal by bringing them out of the land of Egypt. Verse 10. So I brought them out of the land of Egypt, and I led them into the wilderness. And I gave them my statutes, and made known to them my ordinances, for the man that does these things will live by them. I also gave them my Sabbaths, as a sign between us, so that they would know that I am Yahweh who sanctifies them. Yet the house of Yasharal rebelled against me in the wilderness. They did not follow my statutes, and they rejected my ordinances, though the man who does these things will live by them. And they utterly profaned my Sabbaths. Then I resolved to pour out my wrath upon them and put an end to them in the wilderness. But I acted for the sake of my name, so that I would not be profane in the eyes of the nations in whose sight I had brought them out. Moreover, with an uplifted hand, I swore to them in the wilderness that I would not bring them into the land that I had given them, a land flowing with milk and honey, the glory of all lands, because they kept rejecting my ordinances, refusing to walk in my statutes, and profaning my Sabbaths, for their hearts continually went after their idols. Yet I looked at them with pity, and did not destroy them to bring them to an end in the wilderness. In the wilderness I said to their children, do not walk in the statutes of your fathers, or keep their ordinances, or defile yourselves with idols, I am Yahweh, your Elohim. Walk in my statutes, keep my ordinances and practice them. Keep my Sabbaths separated, that they may be a sign between us, so that you may know that I am Yahweh, your Elohim. But the children rebelled against me. They did not walk in my statutes or carefully observe my ordinances, though the man who does these things will live by them. And they profaned my Sabbaths. So I resolved to pour my wrath out upon them and vent my anger against them in the wilderness. But I withheld my hand and acted for the sake of my name, so that it would not be profane in the eyes of the nations in whose sight I had brought them out. However, with an uplifted hand I swore to them in the wilderness that I would scatter them among the nations and disperse them throughout the lands. For they did not practice my ordinances, but they rejected my statutes and profaned my Sabbaths, fixing their eyes on the idols of their fathers. I also gave them over to statutes that were not good, and ordinances by which they could not live. And I pronounced them unclean through their gifts, the sacrifice of every firstborn in the fire, so that I might devastate them, in order that they would know that I am Yahweh. Verse 27. Therefore, Son of man, speak to the house of Yasharal and tell them that this is what Elohim Yahweh says. In this way also your fathers blasphemed me by their unfaithfulness against me. When I brought them into the land that I swore to give them, and they saw any high hill or leafy tree, there they offered their sacrifices, presenting offerings that provoked me, sent up their fragrant incense, and poured out their drink offerings. So I asked them, what is this high place to which you go? And to this day it is called Bama. Verse 30. Therefore tell the house of Yasharal that this is what Elohim Yahweh says. Will you defile yourselves the way your fathers did, prostituting yourselves with their abominations? When you offer your gifts, sacrificing your sons in the fire, you continue to defile yourselves with all your idols to this day. So should I be consulted by you, O house of Yasharal? As surely as I live, declares Elohim Yahweh, I will not be consulted by you. When you say, let us be like the nations, like the people of the lands, serving wood and stone, what you have in mind will never come to pass. As surely as I live, declares Elohim Yahweh, with a strong hand and an outstretched arm and outpoured wrath, I will rule over you. With a strong hand and an outstretched arm and outpoured wrath, I will bring you out from the peoples and gather you from the lands to which you have been scattered, and I will bring you into the wilderness of the nations, where I will enter into judgment with you face to face, just as I entered into judgment with your fathers in the wilderness of the land of Egypt. So I will enter into judgment with you, declares Elohim Yahweh. I will make you pass under the rod, and I will make you into the bond of the covenant, and I will purge you of those who rebel and transgress against me. I will bring them out of the land in which they dwell, but they will not enter into the land of Yasharal. Then you will know that I am Yahweh. As for you, O house of Yasharal, this is what Elohim Yahweh says. Go and serve your idols, every one of you. But afterward, you will surely listen to me, and you will no longer defile my separated name with your gifts and idols. For on my holy mountain, the mountain of Yasharal, declares Elohim Yahweh, there the whole house of Yasharal, all of them, will serve me in the land. There I will accept them, and I will require your offerings and choice gifts along with all of your separated sacrifices. When I bring you from the peoples and gather you from the lands to which you have been scattered, I will accept you as a pleasing aroma, and I will show you my separatedness, sanctification through you in the sight of the nations. Then you will know that I am Yahweh. When I bring you into the land of Yasharal, the land that I swore to give your fathers, there you will remember your ways and all the deeds with which you have defiled yourselves, and you will loathe yourselves for all of the evils that you've done. Then you will know, O house of Yasharal, that I am Yahweh, when I have dealt with you for the sake of my name, and not according to your wicked and corrupt acts, declares Elohim Yahweh. Verse 45. Now the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Son of man, set your face toward the south, preach against it, and prophesy against the forest of Negev. Say to the forest of Negev, hear the word of Yahweh. This is what Elohim Yahweh says. I am about to ignite you into a fire, and it will devour all your trees, both green and dry. The blazing flame will not be quenched, and by it every face from the south to the north will be scorched. Then all the people will see that Yahweh have kindled it, and it will not be quenched. Then I said, Elohim Yahweh, they are saying of me, is he not just telling parables? May Yahweh add a blessing to those who hear and do, those who have eyes and can see. That is what I want for you today. That is what I want for you today. If we look at this, this should help us understand every single answer to every question that we've ever asked. How am I going to do this? How am I going to make all of this work? What do I need to do? How can I make it all right? Well, I submit that we don't have a chance, and we don't have the opportunity not to. As the days draw nearer and nearer, and our Father's word becomes even more evident and real on a daily basis, as we look at the world around us, we see that we don't have the choice but to do his will. As you know, I've often marveled at what I see now when I hear even my friends and family and others say, you know, that Old Testament is so old, and it has nothing to do with who we are today, and it has nothing to do with the new covenant, and it has nothing to do with all this other stuff. But I want you to show me where he, not a human, he took back any of what he said. And when you think about it, how can someone, anyone, especially the Most High, how can he be so adamant that you must keep his statutes? his ordinances and observe his Sabbaths the way that he outlined, why would he change? Surely it could not be because of what we've been taught with regards to the new covenant, because you and I both know that the new covenant was laid out in its fullness in Jeremiah 31:31, and then in the New Testament. You will see it, but it will reference you right back to Jeremiah 31:31 with the most skilled of covering to make you believe that everything after the quoting of the passage in Jeremiah 31:31 was what Yahweh said, and he did not. You will never find him telling you to do anything opposite of what he says. You see, when you consider a covenant, you have to understand that generally, a covenant is broken or cut between two who have a little bit of difference. Now, there have been some covenants that have been cut with people who have some equal value or financial, stature. But when we look at the covenant that was cut between him and us, he really does have the upper hand, because he is the one who laid down the actual ground rules for the covenant. If you want me to protect you and to take care of you and to let you reign with me and be with me for an eternity, here is my covenant. I will protect you. I will take care of you. But here is my covenant. I will put my hand on your children forever, for all the generations to come. Here is my covenant. This is our rules of engagement. This is what we are going to agree upon. I will do X for you, but you must do X, because if you do not, then you are in breach of this covenant. And down the way, he made a change. But the change was that it would no longer be written on tablets. It is plain. It is simple. It will no longer be written out, but it will be written on a permanent place. Your mind, your heart. Love your Father. Keep his Sabbath days holy. Follow his ordinances. Follow his statutes. Take care of the poor. Take care of everybody that cannot take care of themselves. Do not treat people bad. Don't do people wrong. Don't do usury and all these other things. Make sure that you live a right, chaste, and sanctified life, because that keeps your pipeline clear, and you can always receive from me. I can always come and sit with you because you are free of sin. If you don't keep my commandments, how can I sit with you and visit with you when we don't even agree on the basis of our covenant, of the covenant that I've given you? We don't agree because you're living opposite. So we have to understand that when he tells us this is who I am, that when we understand covenant and when we understand agreements, when we understand legal documents, we understand that if it changes, that the change comes with a full explanation. It changed in the sense that you will no longer be able to read it on a tablet. It changed because now it is in your heart, written on your heart. You are now only responsible for you. This is the personal relationship that he declares to you. Love me, follow my ordinances, do as I say, look at my statutes, keep my Sabbaths separated, sanctified. Separate yourself, sanctify yourself. Why? Because I need you in this earth realm. Because I need you in this earth realm. And because I need you in this earth realm, I need you to be without a spot nor a blemish. Daily, I want you to remember me. Daily, I want you to think of me. Daily, I want you to walk in my statutes and keep my ordinances. And every week, I'm going to need you to keep my Sabbath separated and honor me on that day. And I want you to do it the way I said do it. Yeah, there are going to be a few people that's going to come behind what I'm telling you, and they're going to have nothing but bad intentions where you are concerned. And so what I want you to understand is that when you hear them telling you things that go opposite of what I said, go back to your book. Open it up. Reread it in 2022. Look at what I said. Go back and read it again in 2022. And then I want you to let me know if with such, I'm so adamant, how could I change? What would provoke me to go against my own word? There's no way. He ain't gonna do it. He's not going to do it. He never did that. Like keeping his covenant was going to be such an arduous task. To treat people good is going to be a hard thing. To not covet your neighbor's stuff, his wife, that's a bad thing. To make sure that you don't eat stuff that's not good for you, that's bad. To make sure that you don't partake in any blood, that's bad. To make sure that you don't do the stuff that you're not supposed to do, because the one that created you, that has the manual to keep you going, tells you not to do something because he created you and he knows what need to go in you. He knows. He knows. Let's get it together. Let's get it together. Let's get it together and let's get it right, because we don't have tomorrow. The only time we got is now. Step out there. Step out there and see, won't he bless you? He will make it easy when he sees you stepping out there. He will take care of you when he sees you stepping out there. The relationship is such that if you do what he says to do, you're going to get the blessing. Conversely, if you don't, you won't. If you don't, you won't. If you don't, you won't. So what we do is we don't worry about how it's going to get done. With a made-up mind, we just declare that we are going to do his way, his will. Once you have that made-up mind that you're going to do it his way, you're going to do his will, oh, I'm telling you now, he makes it really sweet. What you have to do is remember to be in complete submission to him. That's all. If you remember to be in complete submission to him, do you know what will happen? If you do that and you submit completely to him, what will end up happening is he will make the way plain, because now he has a clear way to get things done. He has a clear way to get things done. That's right. Do you want to know how he does it? The way that he does it is that he looks at what you got going on. And when he looks at what you got going on, he just matches it because it's in line with his will and his word. What you're doing is in line with his will and his word. The covenant that was originally cut was made with him. Do not say over and over again, but Bubba, but Johnny, but Bob, but Sally, but Sam said. Who are these people? Who are these cats? Who are they? Ronnie Mann, who they be? Who be them cats, Ronnie? Who they be?
I don't know, but it's another voice. I'll say that. It's
It's
not you.
another voice. How you doing, brother?
I'm well, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Oh, you are so welcome. More than welcome. Let's see, can we pull up your audio just a bit? Can you pot your mic up just a smidge?
I've been having audio issues. I'm over here just trying to make it happen.
There you go. There you go. I hear you now. I hear you now. I hear you now. So we just read Ezekiel 20. I'm not sure if you had a chance to hear it, but we just did Ezekiel 20, and it's so awesome to see, that he is plain. Yah is absolutely plain and clear here. It's the idols that we've given ourselves. It's the car that we've got to wash on that particular day. You know what I'm saying? It's the job that we just got to get to. It's everything but him. Everything but him.
And that's fine on the 6 working days to a degree. That's extremely fine on the 6 working days. But when it comes to his Shabbaths, you see constantly, like repeatedly, over and over and over again, he constantly goes back to, hey, did you remember my Sabbath? Hey, did you observe my Sabbath? Hey, he's always constantly saying, constantly, repetitiously, over and over and over. That's why I'm saying it over and over. To observe his Shabbaths. And there's repercussions. So I don't know if you mentioned the fact that this is a sign between you and him.
We just read straight through it, is what we did. And I know that you were going to do the actual teaching portion, and I didn't want to get into it, but I did give my impression of it. But I will tell everybody this, that if, say, for example, I'm going to say this for anybody who may be getting off before you leave. I want to put this in your ear. If you ever doubted that this was the way that he wanted you to live, why not try it and be right than to not do it and be wrong? How about that? Yeah, so it is a sign, right, Ronnie? It is a sign between us. It's a sign between him and us.
It's absolutely a sign. Go ahead and talk a little more, and let me try to finagle some.
The volume? Okay.
Yeah.
So, yeah, but you know what? He's absolutely right. It is a sign between us and him. See, that is, how everybody, hey, pretty lady Sharon Maria, I see you there. I see everybody. I'm putting up all of your comments as we go. But Lady M, how you going? Hey, Rach, how's it going? How's it going? Anthony Van Zandt, I see you. But you know what? I'll tell you guys this much, R. Jones. This is what I'll say, R. Jones. What I will say is I would much rather follow it his way. I would truly and honestly rather do it his way than to not do it his way. I would. And anytime I think of any of this, I always seem to shake my head at how many years I wasted not knowing truth. At not knowing it. Just not knowing it. And that I think to me, R. Jones, that to me was like the most painful thing. But now I rejoice because I have a chance to get it right. And I tell you, you do need every day to get it right because you might fail today at something. But tomorrow you got a chance to get it right. You got a chance to get it right. Get it right after you cut up. Do whatever you're doing. Whatever's wrong, you better get it together. And now look at it again. Put your head down on that pillow and know that the next day you gave that up the day before. That's what we do. We die daily, every single day, to the stuff that would separate us from him. That's what we do. Every single day, we just set out to say, okay, I'm not doing that anymore. I thought about something the other day, and I remembered, I was like, wow, I remember when I used to do that, and I don't do that anymore, is what I thought. And I was like, wow, it's just like when we practice, getting the Sabbaths correct, when we practice going out looking at the moon, you know what I mean, and waiting to see that sliver. And if we don't see the sliver, then we know we got another day. And I know that it is confusing for a lot of us because a lot of us will say, well, gee whiz, I didn't see it. There was a cloud cover. It's best to just go on ahead and bump it to the next day. It is. If you can't see anything, It's best to move it to the another day than to not do it at all. Well, I didn't see anything. Looks like it's Saturday for me. Looks like it's Sunday for me. If you don't see it, just push it. That's what I had to do this time. And then I had somebody who lives here near me say, hey, no, it's X, Y, or Z. And I'm like, I didn't see anything. So this would be by your observation that you go out and you see. And if you don't see, then you know what it is. That's how we landed on Tuesday this month, as far as the Sabbath is concerned. For this biblical month, we landed on Tuesday. Hello, Diane Brown. Greetings and love from Mississippi. Girl, I wish I was there with you right now. Oh, you just have no idea. Anthony, afternoon. Yeah, I really do. I really do, Lady M. I really, really do. Wish I was out there where she is. So you guys, it does take us a bit of time sometimes to, yes, how many years so many of us wasted, exactly. And then the thing that happens is once we start walking in that, R. Jones, we really do see it becomes easier. For those of you who've actually began to keep the Sabbath and to do the feast days, have you found that it's gotten easier for you? Those of you who are in the chat that have actually been able to do it. Those of you who are in the chat who are not keeping the Christmas trees like there's listed here. Believe it or not, it's literally listed here talking about the hill and the leafy trees. That's what he's talking about. Because as you know, we've already read and showed you where those trees and all that other stuff is literally not of him. It's all the worship of the trees and the natural, all the earth, Mother Earth, and all that stuff. It's Gaia, lots of different names for it, but it's not of him. It's not him. He didn't tell you to do any of those things. As a matter of fact, he speaks directly against it. And we'll read it, and then we'll go right out and do the exact same thing he tells us not to do, which is the reason why we definitely have to make sure that we are separated. Because it is easy to be provoked. I had one of my relatives, and I'm not going to say who it is, but I'll just say this. They were saying, just let those kids have a tree. Get them kids something. Get them kids a tree. They need a tree. They little. They young. I said, you know what? If I brought one of those things in the house, they would rebuke me. They would say, grandmother, we're not supposed to have one of those. They sure would. They would get at me. They would.
And if you look at the
I can barely hear you, bro.
oh my goodness.
They would. They would. And so what I ended up asking that relative, they were like, oh, did you see what I bought this person? Did you see what I bought that person? And I was like, oh, wow, that's amazing. And they're like, yeah, I spent $400 on this and I spent $200 on that and blah, blah, blah. And I was like, yikes, that's a lot. Yeah, but they're worth it. You gotta take care of them. Life is so short. Life is this or that. And I'm like, oh, okay, great, no problem. And I said, I don't think I feel like being in debt like that at all. Not to the system. I said, but you're gonna be paying for that for all next year. Nah, I don't think so. And I said, okay, that's great. Now, 2 weeks later, did they call me and say they sent me a request for $10 and put on there that it was for gas. Bless their hearts. And it's one of my own. So I'm not going to, I laid on the table for 32 hours and had this person. So I'm going to say it. I just won't say his name. He know who he is of all of my children. But this one is mine and I can say it. He sent that request to me and, I didn't, letter A, I didn't have it. B, I made sure that I had already paid all of my bills, but I sent him a message back and I said, ask Santa. Ask Santa. You want to be, ask Santa. We had a Christmas tree when we were little. I just can't believe you. I can't believe you're going to do that. And he's cracking up laughing all while he's saying it. He's in another state altogether. And I said, ask Santa. And he cracked up laughing. He could not stop laughing. I said, yeah, ask Santa. Yeah. Go ahead and give it a mic check, Ronnie. Try it. Mic check, mic check.
A 1 2, a 1 2, a 1
A 1 2, a 1 2.
I apologize. I'm having.
You sound better now.
Okay, I'm having a lot of audio issues, so please forgive me and bear with me. But
Mm-mm, it's okay. I'm gonna go on the other side and listen. So go ahead and chat. I'm muting this side.
if you listen, I mean, if you look at the correlation between the Asherah poles that you read about in Scripture, Asherah poles. I'm sure many of us have come across them or what have you in Scripture, but take a look and study them and look at the correlation between what this Christmas tree is. You know what I mean? And then see where we actually get all of, because it's a lot of conflated traditions that have accumulated into one big lump that we call Christmas. But the fact remains is it comes from a lot of it comes from the Yule tradition, which is why in the melodies that we sing in the little carols that we sing, we call it Yule tides. Um, but the traditions of Yule with the Yule log and the burning, these are all um, um, idols and icons. It's idolatry. And so when you look at the Asherah pole, it really is, like you said, Gaia or Mother or Earth worship, something to that degree. It's clearly the matriarch that we're worshiping. The groves, the when you read in Scripture about all these groves that people are planting and things of this nature, this
What's
is
what they're doing
all
now, wanting you to, worship the environment and all that, right? Part of it.
um part no large part of it, large part of it. um they're trying to preserve the earth, but the scriptures already teach us how to preserve the earth. He said the land spews us out because we don't abide by his law, statutes, and commandments. So in all honesty, all we have to do is go back to his laws, statutes, and commandments, and the earth will preserve itself. Everything will just fall into line. It is true when he tells us that we are the salt of the earth. The things that we do preserves the earth. It's not that we can go this back door route and this side route to do all these environmental touch ups and brush ups and comb overs or what have you. If you abide by his laws, statutes, and commandments. Yeah. Hey, I'm just saying.
Did you just say comb over?
Yeah, they threw the comb over on it, and
Like Costanza.
really, wow, yes, like okay, yes, like good old George. So if you were to just bypass all of that and go straight to your first love, go back to the first works, then everything will unfold itself and blossom like a beautiful flower, as it should. But here we are playing patchwork.
I like it. I like it. It's better. It's better than any fruit I've ever eaten. Just to see all these wonderful comments here with people saying that it's gotten easier. Yes, it's gotten easier. R. Jones says, "How many years? So many of us wasted." Sharon Marie Pretty Lady says, "Yes, it gets easier. I recently moved and left all my holiday paraphernalia behind. A wonderful feeling, and you save such a bundle." I like Sandy Aaron said, "Buy a tree, throw it in the creek along with a bag of dog food, and wait till spring. Drop a hook, and oh boy, the fishes you can catch." I love it. That's funny. Audio issues. No, say it's not so. AKA Lucy, end of the day, Prince of the Power of the F, all trying to replace us by emoji e-file switcheroo.
Yeah, get old
Guess
F.
who said it?
Yeah, I already know that lingo and that terminology.
He's absolutely right.
That's
He's
that's
absolutely
proprietary
right.
talk right there.
Absolutely. We were talking the other day about Ezekiel 20, and I know that you had made some beautiful references. Of course, I did not touch those because I just read straight through, but I do want to ask you about them as we were talking about. Let me get past my Yorkshire notes here.
Sounds like you took notes.
Oh man, are you kidding me? When you're talking, E.F. Hutton, I'll be taking all kind of notes. There were portions that you were talking about.
All right, we'll get to that, and I'm just going to round it out because we see. Let me round it out with Ezekiel 18, 19, and then
Exodus 31.
okay, okay. So anybody who has their sword, they can go ahead and go to Exodus 31.
I see
Um,
Exodus 8, 31, 8 through 5, I believe it is. And then you have 8 through 5. And then you have Exodus 12. And then I do want to ask you, because I know the rich young ruler is something that I was talking about with
mhm.
you. And I want you to expound on that if you don't mind. And I'm going to come off the mic so you can do that.
Well, okay, okay. Well, when you look at Ezekiel 18, it's speaking on um, actually Jeremiah 31, which is talking about the new covenant. And it's telling you how the fathers have eaten the sour grapes and the teeth of the children were set on edge. But the fact of the matter remains is that he's saying, hey, this proverb, this isn't going to be a thing anymore. Like, um, if your fathers eat sour
I'll be
grapes, that's
right back.
on
Go ahead.
okay, but that's on them. That's on them and has nothing to do with you now. If you eat the sour grapes, your teeth are going to be set on edge. So basically, it's every man for himself. Ezekiel 18:3 says, as surely as I live, declares uh, um, Elohim Yahweh, you will no longer quote this proverb in Yasharal. Behold, every soul belongs to me, both father and son are mine. The soul who sins is the one who will die. And when you reference that and parallel that to Jeremiah 31, it's telling you the same exact rhetoric. And this is the tenets of the new covenant. So this new covenant, every man is for himself. You can't rely on the next man's sacrifice to get by. You are the one who's going to have to make these sacrifices. Every man is going to have to bring a sacrifice to the table. So the thing is, in Ezekiel 18, he's telling you that this is the case from here on out. This is how we're going to have to play it. This is the play by play. And he goes on to tell you that a righteous man will live by doing by being righteous, and then if you stray from that, then your iniquity is going to have you die, because the wages of sin is surely death. So when we go into Ezekiel 19, it starts to talk about these lamentations that are playing out. Because why? It says, hey, you had it going on. Like your mother was basically a queen, and strong, and grew strong branches, and but you fell off. And then she came, like Yah brought her back and boosted her up, and made her lofty again. And her branches were beautiful, blossoming beautiful flowers and buds and things of this nature. And then what happens? You fell off again. You ended up in Egypt the first time, then you ended up in Babylon now. And this is where we're at, as far as the timeline of Ezekiel 19 is concerned. This is where he's speaking at, in reference to them being in Babylon. And this is their second time falling off. And he's saying why? But he's really saying, um, we are so slack. We had it so good. All you have to do is remember the covenant, that you are his people and he is your Alahayam, and abide by the covenant, and everything will be smooth sailing from here. But you keep on tripping up and doing it your own way, and you're getting caught out there with all of these abominations, and which inadvertently brings afflictions unto yourself. So he's calling out lamentations. He's saying this is a lamentation, and you should sing this sad song repeatedly, because this is you. And this is where we stand, coming from Ezekiel 18 into Ezekiel 19. He's saying that you need to be singing this sad song, because this is ridiculous, and this is the state of our people that we are in currently. So when we come into Ezekiel 20, he's telling you why. Why are we, why have we tripped up? And why do we find ourselves in the predicament that we're in? Because we have not abided by his laws, statutes, and commandments. And this is the I'll say wrap up. This is a nice little wrap up. Ezekiel 20 is a nice little wrap up of the condition that we're, or the effects of why we're in the condition that we are currently in. And he's telling you that you have not abided by his law, statutes, and commandments. But and then he goes further into rebuking them and telling them specifically, mind you, over and over again, you have not observed my ordinances in the fact that you have not kept my Shabbats set apart. This is huge. And this is a constant. He's repeating this over and over again. He's taking this extremely seriously. He's taking this very seriously, that you do not keep his Shabbats set apart. So look in verse 18 of Ezekiel 20. I'm sorry, Ezekiel 20, and I'm going to read 18. And excuse me, it says, in the wilderness, I said to their children, do not walk in the statutes of your fathers, the Yuletide. Don't walk in the old statutes of your fathers, or keep their ordinances, or defile yourselves with their idols. Why? Because if you eat sour grapes, it's on you now. You can't blame it on your forefathers. You can't say, oh, our fathers taught us these lies, it's not our fault. In verse 18, he's saying, do not walk in these statutes that your fathers have kept, or keep the ordinances, or defile yourselves with their idols. I am Yah, your Alahayam. Walk in my statutes and keep my ordinances and practice them. Verse 20, excuse me. Forgive me, I'm sorry. Give me a
No,
moment.
you straight. Keep my Sabbaths holy, separated, that they may be a sign between us, so that you may know that I am Yahweh, your Alahayam.
Exactly. And please forgive me. But verse 20 highlights the fact, like he's saying, you're not walking in my statutes and my ordinances, and you're not practicing them. So that is a broad statement, but then he always hones in and focuses on the specific portion, the Sabbath. Keep my Sabbaths. Plural, mind you. Plural. So these are the Sabbaths that are included in this plural concept, are the seventh day Sabbaths, the new moon Sabbaths, and the feast day Sabbaths. And they are a collective, and you're supposed to set them apart. And
Exactly.
it says that they may be a sign between us, so that you may know that I am Yah, your Alahayam. But the children rebelled against me. Moving forward in verse 21 and onward, it says, they did not walk in my statutes or carefully observe my ordinances. You see that? Or carefully observe, not nonchalantly, not haphazardly, not here, just a little bit. Okay, yeah, I did it, just to get it on through, and to do the least, to say you've done something. But it says, carefully observe my ordinances, though the man who does these things will live by them. And they profaned my, once again, Shabbats. He's focusing on his Shabbats. He takes this seriously. There are repercussions for us not doing these things. And it tells you, like I said, this is Ezekiel 20. It tells you why we're in the position that we're in, and why Ezekiel 19, he told you to sing a lamentation. Bring forth this lamentation. Why? Because
Yep.
when it's all said and done, he is very tight about us not observing carefully his Shabbats. So but we faithfully, carefully, diligently put finances into observing Gregory's Shabbaths. Keep that in mind. He's a
Yeah.
jealous Elohim. He's upset at this.
Like one of my sons said, get them kids a tree, and then man, get $10.
Right, right. So I resolved. So look, so it says that you're not carefully observing these things. At the end of verse 21 it says, so why? Because you're not carefully observing my ordinances, and they profaned my Shabbaths. I resolved to pour out my wrath upon them and vent my anger against them in the wilderness. He resolved. This is how upsetting this is to Yah. He is going to resolve to pour out wrath upon you. Like, you know what? I'm fed up. I'm making up my mind. I'm putting something tough on you. Pour out my wrath upon them and vent my anger against them in the wilderness. But I withheld my hand and acted for the sake of my name, so that it would not be profaned in the eyes of the nations. In those sight, I have brought them out. So he's like, you know what? I'm not going to smite you, because if I smite you, because y'all profess me all day long, you say that I'm your Elohim. And if I smite you, they're going to be like, man, like all these other nations are going to be like, man, their Elohim is terrible. Their Elohim brought his people out into the wilderness just to kill them. So it has nothing to do with you that he has reserved his anger and his wrath in executing his indignation upon you. It has everything to do with the sake of his name. He's preserving his reputation by not killing us all for disobeying him. This has nothing to do with your righteousness and what you he has his hand on me and I'm blessed. No, he is jealous of profaning his own name in the eyes of the nations, and he's holding back his anger, basically in hopes that we get it together and stop making a mockery out of his name and making him look like a fool in the eyes of the other nations. We're doing what the nations are doing, and that is a snare unto us. We are not supposed to be doing what these other nations are doing. And the reason I'm adamant about this is because Yah is adamant about this. He's saying,
Can
hey, man, you've profaned my Shabbats. And because of that, I resolved to, put something tough on you. But I withheld my hand and acted for the sake of my name, so my name would not be profaned in the eyes of the nations. However, with an uplifted hand, I swore to them in the wilderness that I would scatter them among the nations and disperse them throughout the lands. This is why we are scattered throughout the four corners of the earth. This is why we are dispersed. There is a diaspora in the entirety of the land. Forgive me. Is
no,
because
you're fine.
not executed carefully the observation of his ordinances, his statutes, his laws, and his commandments. Verse 24, it tells you why he scatters us and disperses us. Verse 24, why? For they did not practice my ordinances, but they rejected my statutes and profaned my Shabbaths, fixing their eyes on the idols of Christmas, fixing their eyes on the idols of their fathers, what your father told you to do, not what your heavenly Father told you to do, but what the people around you in the nation has told them to do, and they have told you to do it. And I assure you, go back to verse 20. He tells you, Ezekiel 20 and 20, keep my Shabbaths set apart, that they may be a sign between us.
Mm.
so that you may know that I am Yah, your Allahayam. Not Santa Claus, your Allahayam. Not Easter Bunny, Allahayam. Not all these other, gods.
Not baby New Year?
Not New Year God. Not any, nation. This is all idolatry. This is all idol worship of our fathers. This is the father. This is what our fathers have taught us, and they're gonna have to pay for that. And you're paying for it right now, but no longer. Stop eating their sour grapes. Stop eating the. And then this isn't me speaking. This is Yah imploring and pleading with you. He says that he's going to bring us out into the wilderness and plead with us.
Ronnie, may I ask a question? Because I think
Yeah.
this is a good time to interject. Well, more like make a statement. But don't you think it's fair to say that at that passage where you were just reading, where it says, you know what, I've scattered you to all four corners. This is the area where you will be able to strengthen yourself, folks, by saying that he did not do away with anything, because he hasn't pulled everybody together from all four corners yet. So this is a book of things that's going on. He's foretelling exactly what time it is in two ways. You see what's happening there, but this is also what's happening now, if that makes sense. When he gathers us together, then you will know where that passage is right here. I think it's 2021. Let me go back on that side. But he's basically saying, hey, you know what? I've scattered you to all four corners. I think it was 21. For they did not walk in my statutes or carefully observe my ordinances, though the man who does these things will live by them. And the profane, 23. Okay. However, with an uplifted hand I swore to them in the wilderness that I would scatter them among the nations and disperse them throughout the lands. This is a very telling piece as far as wanting to know if he does not tell us to keep the Sabbath anymore. This is very important. It's very important when people say, well, all of that stuff in the Old Testament, if you take the Old Testament, then you need to take the whole roll. I submit, if you start dabbling with anything other than what he said, you better be willing to take the whole roll. Because right here in verse 23, he's telling you right here, put the two and two together. Wait a minute. Has he collected them again? Has he collected us yet? Has he put us back in? We're not in Yahshua. Wait a minute. This is the forever, all the generations to come that he is referring to. So equip yourself with the timetable. Equip yourself with the timetable so that you can sharpen this and understand where we are, right?
Yes, and this is the misdirection of Christian doctrine, is because, but they're talking to Yasharal, and they're talking to the people that were out in the wilderness, and they're talking to, Abraham's seed, but even the Brit Hadashah, or the what they call the New Testament, even the New Testament tells us that, pardon me. Continue.
No, take your time. No, so when I see that, I just think to myself, gee whiz, this is like, these are those golden nuggets that you find that are laced throughout the Old Testament, I should say, through the word, through the way, okay? The way. I'm going to refer to it as the way because it really is the way, all right? And again, you guys know I have let me just go ahead and finish this statement. This is how you know the way is the right way. Because what he says right there, that's like a little clue. That's a context clue. That if you realize he divided everybody, but he hasn't gathered them together again. Clearly, he says that he will gather them together again in this very chapter. We've not been gathered together. So when we understand, looking directly at the children of Yasharal and understanding that he made a way for the Gentiles, you need to know that for us it's bad. If the Gentiles just play with it, dibble dabble with, this is what he's saying to us. He's telling the Hebrews, he's telling us, you didn't do this, you didn't do that, you didn't do this, you chose to do this, you chose to do that, and now I'm gonna get you, and I'm not joking, I'm not playing with you, and he's not been playing. So can you imagine that if this is how hard he is on us, that a Gentile cannot afford not to get it together? We're his, and we're supposed to minister to the Gentile first. Go out there and give it to the Gentiles. It comes to us, but then we're supposed to go get. Can you imagine not doing it after hearing it? This is what he's saying to us. Imagine what will happen if you don't get it together and you had the opportunity. Now, I know there's people that's going to cut off, but you heard it here. It won't be required at my hand. It will not be required at my hand.
That's right. That's right. Because when we're scattered out throughout the four corners of the earth, we are still required to obey his law, statutes, and commandments. In doing so, when the nations cling to the house of Jacob, they are supposed to follow suit. They are supposed to follow suit. They are supposed to follow suit. The scriptures constantly tell us that there's one law for the native born and for the sojourner, or for the stranger among you. There's one law, and it's not the law that Rome has given us. It has never been the law that Rome has given us. So that's the confusion and the conflation, and that is really a deviation to the actual laws, statutes, and commandments. And along the way, we Yah's people has been utterly destroyed. And in this time, at this particular juncture in time, his people are waking up and realizing who they are. And anybody who is listening to the Spirit, let me say that differently. Anybody who the Spirit is speaking to, and it is coherent and they can hear it and it's obvious, and it is so contrary to the current culture, you are Yah's people.
Absolutely. 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 You're here. And it's indicative that you're Yah's people, because look at how few of us it is in relation to how many is out in this particular platform, if you consider it. Just consider that.
So he's telling us that this is a sign between us. So when I pondered on that, it brings me to the thought process that we hear about. It says, by this, in John 13, in John 13, it says, by this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another.
Mm-hmm.
And you've heard that at least a handful of times.
Ad nauseum. That's right. Yeah.
Right.
Ad nauseum.
So I'm going to say it again. By this, everyone will know that you are my disciples, if you love one another. And you've heard that from the pulpit ad nauseum.
Yeah. Yeah.
So how is everybody going to know that you're his disciples? Because of the love that they see amongst the brethren. That's how everybody will know. That's how everybody will know. Listen, I'm going to say it again. I'm saying it for a reason. That's how everybody will know. Okay, that's third party. That's how everybody else will know. You know how Yah knows that you're his people? Ezekiel 20:20. Keep my Sabbaths holy, that they may be a sign between us, so that you may know that I am Yah, your Elohim. So they know because of the love. How does Yah know that you're his people? Because you are keeping his Shabbats set apart. It is a sign between you and him. It is a sign between you and him.
Hallelujah.
So it doesn't matter what any man thinks about you when it's all said and done, when it's all said and over with. It matters not what any man thinks about you. It matters every degree possible. It matters if Yah knows you and you know him.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
That's what matters.
Mm.
The sign between you and him is keeping his Shabbat set apart. And I'm harping on this because Ezekiel is harping on this, because there is a lamentation throughout the land that we are not observing his laws, statutes, and commandments, and we have profaned his Shabbats, and he has resolved to pour out his wrath and his anger against us in this wilderness. Look at verse 23 one more time. However, with an uplifted hand, I swore to them in the wilderness that I will scatter them and disperse them. An uplifted hand. He's taking an oath, a vow. He's put your right hand up and put your left, put your
yeah.
He put his hand up and said, I swear
Hmm.
to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help myself.
I like that. He's like, it's me, and I'm going to tell you right now.
And even he's putting his hand up. He's putting his hand up.
Yeah.
And saying, look, I promise you that I'm not going to smite you out here in this wilderness so I don't make my name slack and profaned in the eyes of the nations, but I promise you I'm going to scatter you and disperse you because you've rejected me, therefore I'm going to reject you. And to land me back on what you said, if he's rejecting his own people, if he is rejecting his own people for not abiding by his law, statutes, and commandments, do not be arrogant enough to think that he is bringing in a whole team of a different set of people that aren't going to abide by his law, statutes, and commandments. He's not bringing in Gentiles so you can do it your way and your father's way. That is an arrogant, very, very privileged mindset to have, and we need to snap out of it.
Hallelujah. 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 How freeing that is. And that's so liberating. Because you're hearing it and we know together. You know what I'm saying? This ain't easy for me. So I know it's a task for everyone. However, just think of if we don't do it. So that's wow. Wow.
So look. Ezekiel is actually honing in on precepts, because in chapter 18, when he's talking about the new covenant, or he's talking about the sour grapes that your father ate.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
This is a precept. Pardon me, a precept from Jeremiah, talking about basically
absolutely
every man for himself.
Yeah, it's Jeremiah as well. That's right.
So
that's right.
Ezekiel 20. Chapter 20. This is what did you say? Exodus 31.
Yeah, Exodus 31.
Man, let me go there real quick.
Yeah, so I'll pull it up. Yeah, I'll pull it up. Exodus 31.
So this whole entire concept is the precept that we get from Exodus 31. I'm pulling it up, so forgive me. Okay, so check it. So let me see. Let's start at verse 12. And if you have it pulled up, if you can pull up the Bible Hub, because we're gonna dive into the interlinear. I want you to check this.
Okay. You want me to do interlinear on starting at verse 12?
Yeah, but not interlinear yet. Let's read it.
Okay.
It says, Yah told Moshe. So check it. We just read this in Ezekiel 20. This is a precept way back from Exodus, from the teachings of Moshe himself, which is and who taught Moshe? Yah.
That's right.
So it says verse 12, and Yah said to Moshe, tell Yasharali, surely you must keep my Shabbats. Surely you must keep my Shabbats. For this will be a sign between me and you for the generations to come. Not for right now, but for the generations to come.
Correct.
That you may know that I am Yah who sanctifies you. So this is basically almost verbatim what we just read out of Ezekiel chapter 20. It says,
That's it verbatim.
right, right. So verse 14, keep the Shabbats, for it is set apart to you. It might not be set apart to them, but listen, he has designed and created and made this, and it is set apart to you. Peep it. You see that, right? Verse 14, keep the Shabbat, for it is set apart to you.
Hallelujah.
Anyone, unless it's not, then we're not talking to you.
Mm.
You don't need to play with it. Just go ahead and, eat,
Do
drink, and
you?
be merry. Yeah, eat, drink,
Yeah.
and be merry, because it's going to be,
Tomorrow.
yeah, hey, and hey, just get
You
it on
know the
out.
rest of that.
Have your fun right now. Have your fun right now, because you're not going to have fun later. So, but if this is for you, then this is for you. And verse 14 says, keep the Shabbat, for it is set apart to you. And if you're arguing with it again, this isn't for you. This isn't for you.
And that's fine. I mean, just you've made your election, and that's cool. That's on you. You know what I mean? It's not for everybody.
So let's scrutinize the text. It says, verse 13, tell Yasharal, surely you must keep my Shabbats, for this will be a sign between me and you. Who? Between me and you. Who? Between your pastor and your first lady.
No, Yah and
Yah
I.
and yourself. Yah
Correct.
and you.
Yah and I. That's right.
This is the sign. So the Shabbat, keeping Shabbat is the sign between you and him.
Can I keep it the way that that my old church used to? We used to do it every Saturday.
Um,
How about
you
every Sunday?
You can, but Yasharal's people isn't going to do that. Yasharal's
Well,
people is going. I'm sorry. The people of Yasharal are going to abide by his laws, his statutes, his commandments,
well,
his precepts, his how he has prescribed
right,
these
but
things.
but what's wrong with every Friday sundown to Saturday sundown? Every Friday sundown to Saturday sundown. What's wrong with that?
Well, if you continue to look at the text, that
Uh huh.
is sour grapes of your fathers.
Gee whiz!
If you
I thought I
continue
could do
to,
it that
to
way.
scrutinize the text, you will realize that that is the traditions of men, and that
Hallelujah.
is the sour grapes of the fathers.
So
And we are
traditions of
not supposed
men.
to eat that anymore. We're not supposed
Okay.
to eat that. Okay, yes, we have been eating that, or we have been eating, dishes of sour grapes. Maybe you didn't do Friday sundown to Saturday sundown or whatever.
But
Maybe you
every
did.
Sunday, every
Right, maybe you
Saturday.
did Sunday right before the football game, but you made sure that you paid homage at the altar of churchianity.
That's right.
And
And the chicken wings.
right, in the altar of the chicken. Right, exactly. So
Yeah.
if the Sunday bird. So if you're
Yeah.
doing this, then I, if you scrutinize the text and you are vigilant and determined to seek Yah's way, the way, you will see beyond a shadow of a doubt that these are the traditions of men, and we are to steer away from that. And we are to go back to the basics. We are to go back to our first love. And this is the thing, Gentiles, this is not their first love, but they are to sojourn with us, and they are like Ruth, they are to
Mm-hmm.
abandon their old ways, their old
Mm-hmm.
gods, their
Mm-hmm.
old their whole entire family, and they are to blend and come on in and become the house of Jacob.
Mm.
Period. Foot stop after that. Huge,
Mm-hmm.
just nothing else after that. Abide, abide in the way, so you can dwell in the house of Yahweh forever.
Mm.
Otherwise, we are under the strong delusion. But look, verse 14. Well, okay, the mid part of 13 tells you that the keeping his Shabbats, plural, that's his law, that's his 7th day Sabbaths, that is his new moon days, and that is his feasts. For this will be a sign, and we're going to get into that. That's why I'm keeping on going there, between me and you for the generations to come. so that you may know that I am Yah, who sanctifies you. Not Pope Gregory that told you it's Sunday.
But what about what Paul says? I mean, because Paul said that,
Well, who is Yah? Is Yah Paul?
well, no, I mean he's not. But Paul wasn't. He is an apostle, and he said that I had to be cognizant of not taking this on and take the whole role. I got to do the whole law, and
Any
that's not
man,
good.
if any
That can't
man
be good.
comes again, if you interpret anything that an apostle, a prophet, an anointed person, an evangelist, whatever, is saying, if you interpret anything that one of these people are saying uh, in a way that is against Yah's laws, statutes, and commandments, there's two things. There's either one of two things or both that's going on. Either you are misinterpreting what they are saying, or what they are saying is sour grapes that they have obtained from their fathers, and you need to steer clear from it, or a little bit of both. They might be spewing out the traditions of men, because we're really not following Paul's laws when we're looking at these New Testaments. What we're doing is following the traditions of men and their interpretations of what Paul has said.
Is Paul taking? Where did he get his ideology from?
I I I I can't. I don't want to speculate on that. I mean, who his great teacher was or whatever, but was
Gamaliel.
so this guy. He. What's interesting about that is he gives props to that being his teacher, but Yah or Yahweh Shah tells us that there's only one teacher. So, I don't want to speculate on where he got his grand ideas or what have you, or if that's not what I'm trying to hone in on, in so much that I mean, because either he had this grand idea that was sideways, or it was interpreted wrong, or it was reconstructed and set out as a stumbling block later on by another group of people.
Yeah,
Either way,
absolutely.
there's a lot of contradiction to what there. Okay, let me say this carefully. There is seemingly much contradiction, or there could be argued that there is much contradiction in what he is trying to bring to the table. So the thing about that, if you can, if there is a shadow of a doubt, then if you don't throw that out entirely, at least hang it up until you can till you can judge it more correctly. Hang it up till later, put it to the side till later, because there is so much more contextual information that is not misleading or misrepresenting, that corroborates itself over and over again. And it tells you that the law, statutes, and commandments are to be observed carefully. And it says that they are that specifically the Shabbats are a sign between me and you for the generations to come. Keep Shabbat, for it is set apart to you. Check it. Anyone who profanes it must surely be put to death. Super pause on that.
Wow.
Anyone who profanes it must surely be put to death. Whoever does any work on that day must be cut off from among his people. For 6 days work may be done, but the seventh day is a Shabbat of partial rest,
No.
of a little bit of rest. I got, I'm just chilling just a little bit.
No. The whole day.
But the seventh day is a Shabbat of complete rest, set apart to Yah. And anything that is set apart to Yah, it needs to be set apart to you. Yah, what does he say? He says, be set apart, for I am set apart. Whoever does any work on the Shabbat day must surely be put to death, he tells you again. So this is what's going on. I got a 9 to 5. I got a Monday through Friday. I got a this, I got a that. If that trumps, if that supersedes what Yah has told you, then you have already told yourself who your God is. If you're 9 to 5, listen, I'm being very impartial and I'm being very plain and very blunt because Yah is very plain and very blunt. He's not pacifying you. He's not giving you a whole lot of, yeah, I feel you, but he's not being wishy-washy. He's being extreme and direct. He's saying that you will be put to death when it's all said and done. If your 9 to 5 Monday through Friday is better than my word, it bests my word. Your 9 to 5, you have just put it on a pedestal and made it your Elohim, made it your God. And once again, anyone who profanes it must surely be put to death. Then he reiterates it again at the end of verse 15. Whoever does any work on Shabbat must surely be put to death. So the rich young ruler came and hollered at Yahushua and was like, hey, I've been abiding by the law, statutes, and commandments my whole entire life. I got it going on. And he was like, oh, really? That's awesome. Good for you. He was like, so what do I need to do to, check it, gain eternal life?
Yeah, how much is this going to cost me?
What do I need to do to gain eternal life? This tells you, I just read twice in one little blurb. It says anyone who profanes Shabbat will surely be put to death. He's asking Yahushua, hey, how can I gain eternal life? He was like, sell everything you have. Sell everything you have. Come follow me. But he couldn't do it because he had much possession. But I got this awesome 9 to 5. This 401k is astounding. The match, man, they match $2 for every dollar.
Word?
Yes, 100% dental, 100% health.
Man, on the first day, I heard. The first day you started work.
Man, this is the best job you could ever have in your life.
Man.
Yeah, well, what did Yahushua say? Yahushua said, hey, sell it all. Give it up. Come follow me. And you shall gain eternal life. A man put his head down in shame and walked away because he had amassed great possession. Listen, you are the rich young ruler. You can't hurry up. You got too much stuff. You're going to miss your bus because you are the bag lady.
Bag lady, you going to miss your bus. Carrying all them bags. Taking all that past. Taking all the baggage of mama and them, auntie them, grandmama and them, daddy and them. You carrying all of the baggage that was given down and passed down to you. But here's the freedom. The freedom is that he freed you of all of that and let you know you ain't got to do like they did. You can let all those ordinances and things that they did, let all that go. I got something better for you. I got something where when you do this, I ain't gonna miss you. I'm gonna know who you are. Because that's going to be the sign between you and me that I'm down with you. You know, all these secret societies run around with different signs and symbols. You can have a symbol on the back of your car as you're driving down the road, especially here in the South. And if a policeman sees it, I know it because I have, relatives who are into that stuff. If the policeman sees you, they'll either do one of two things, pull you over and let you go, or just ignore it altogether. There are signs and symbols for a reason. He's telling you the original sign and symbol is right here. Do this and I got you. Follow this. That's going to tell me who you are. Why? Because not only is my commandments written in your heart and in your mind, you're following them. It's not just that you've read it once or twice. No, you're living this and I see you and I know who you are. You go over here. These go over there. Don't forget that the wheat and the tare, the barley, don't forget that they both come up together. and that there is the separation, but he is the one who does it. And these things are not, oh my goodness, they're teaching fear and this and that. Call it what you want. But sometimes truth can scare you. But it's so sweet to know that all you've got to do is follow the A part. And you don't have to worry about the B part of the word.
Yeah, very very true, very true. So when he's telling you that you need to drop everything, you really need to drop everything. So never does he pacify the rich young ruler. Never does he say, "Yeah, I feel you got a whole lot of stuff." You know what I mean? So you can't. So just do the best that you can, and then every time I come around, you can meet up with me or something. He didn't say that.
He laid it out, right?
Therefore, I'm not saying that. Therefore, none of us should say that. We don't need to be pacifying the people, because once again, I'm telling you that if he has destroyed his own people, what do you think he's going to do to you?
And you know what? I want to highlight something as well. Because I know a lot of people, because I know my mind, I know how my brain will work. A lot of people will say, well, gee whiz, don't you think death is a bit much, Felicia? Here's what it is: if you're not covered by his covenant, then death is surely the thing that follows. I think a lot of times when people even think about back in the old days where we had those old preachers who used to teach, and it would just be like the fire and brimstone type of stuff, people were afraid to tiptoe outside the church because they feared that one big lightning strike and that was it, curtains for you. But the deal is that if you're not under his covering, that means you're under another covering. And
Exactly.
under that covering, there is death. So you shall surely be put to death. And
Okay.
that's the explanation if you want to break it down today, folks.
So let's further that explanation. So
Uh-huh.
so all of this is a metaphor. If you are not diligently, I'll use the word quote unquote faithful. If you are not faithful in the small things, he's never going to give you the big boy task.
Yeah, that's definitely in the word. That's
So you have
definitely there.
so all of this is a metaphor. So you have to observe the seventh day now so you can obtain the seventh day later. Because lo and behold, this is what's really going on. All of this is a metaphor for we are in the sixth day. This is the last day. The seventh day is the kingdom, and that is the day of rest. So what are you doing working for the man on the seventh day? If you're working for we don't work for the man in the kingdom on the seventh day. So if you're doing it right now in the world, you're definitely going to be doing it in the kingdom. Like you didn't obtain the kingdom. This is the king. This is kingdom for uh,
Kingdom
principles.
101.
Yeah,
Yeah.
these are kingdom minds. This is the kingdom
Yeah,
mindset.
principles,
So
yeah.
all of this is so this is why in the book of Numbers, when they're gathering the two sticks on the Sabbath, they get caught out there with gathering two sticks, quote unquote, working, and they get put to death immediately. The two sticks is representative of the work of the field. We are the field workers. We're the ones out here in the field doing the work, and we're not gathering in the people any longer on the seventh day. We are already gathered in, and we have our feet up, and we have an umbrella in our cup. We have an umbrella drink with our feet up
Feet
in
up.
the kingdom.
Yes. Have you
So
some
there's no, so
Kool-Aid
we're
and
not
lemonade
working
in there?
anymore.
Yeah,
We are no
exactly.
longer working anymore. So if you're doing the small remedial task, the minor principle right here in the world, you're not worthy to obtain complete rest in the kingdom. You didn't do what I said then. Now you're trying to do what I said, but the line has already been drawn, and you made a poor decision. So this isn't on him and fire and brimstone and doom and gloom. This is on you. Failure to launch, failure to make a decision, uh, lack of what do they say, stick to itiveness.
Yeah.
You have none. or you're wishy-washy, or you're straddling the fence, or something like it. But the fact, or you're listening to
Something like Laodicea.
you're listening to two voices
And
when you're
you know what? Can we just stop right there and think about that? Can you say that again? And then let's just think about that. You said what? You're listening to what?
you're listening to two voices. You have you're trying to serve two masters. You're listening to the ways of Rome, but you really know that the ways of the kingdom is the way, so you dabble in that. But in our minds, it's flipped. We think that we are in a kingdom mindset, but yet we still dabble in the world. That's not true. You are in the world, and you're dabbling with the king. We're confused. And the voice of the world is much louder than the still small voice of Yah.
And it's easier. It's easier. Living in the world is so much easier, Ronnie. And let me say this. Living in the world is made easy because it's the slickest and the quickest way to take you under. I remember being a little girl and I was in a swimming pool. My mother told me, go in the house, pass this to her friend, and come back to the car. And I passed by the pool, and every time she would send me to go knock on her door to tell her we were there or whatever, I would always stick my foot in the pool. Every time I did it, it got a little easier. And Ronnie, I want to tell you that one day, my mother sent me to go knock on the door. This one particular day, I didn't get to her door, and I didn't get back to the car. I was literally drowning. I couldn't swim, and it got easier and easier, right? And all I remember was going down in the water and looking up, and I could see the sun reflecting inside the pool's water. I had to be about 9, okay, maybe even younger, maybe 7, maybe 9, somewhere in there. And all I remember was this was a brown glint, like a brown tableau. And then I saw this hand come down in the water, and he pulled me up by one hand because I was reaching up with that hand. And this man reached down in the water and snatched me up. But had he not snatched me up, I would not be here now. Letter A, my mother didn't know. B, I had never made it to her friend's door. My point is, every time I went by that pool, whenever we went to her house, I always stuck my foot in the water. And each time it was easier and easier and easier until it snatched me up. I liken what we're talking about to that event specifically because the ways of Rome and the ways of this world are created in such a way that it makes living and quote unquote serving God this wonderful, easy thing to do all the time. And if you make a mistake, here, just do this, just do that. But eventually you get caught up. And when you get caught up, there's really nobody to save you. In this case, I had somebody. And in this case, this is that time for you, where you've been passing by that pool all the time and sticking your foot in it, thinking this is just too easy. To yourself, you think, this is just entirely too easy. And then you go by again, and you do it again. And then you go by again, and you do it again. And now we're at that door where we are in the valley of decisions. The decision is, what do we do? How do we do this? It can't be like this. His way is the way that it is because he is the Father of our law. He is law. Yah is the law. Even being in the mindset of quote unquote freedom is danger because I was in freedom to leave that car and walk to that door. I had freedom. But had it not been for the law, because my mama said, go to the door. Don't deviate. Go to that door and knock on her door and come back. That's all I was told to do. And on occasion, she would say, don't put your foot in that water, Tawana. Don't put your foot in that water, because I would come back and my little foot be wet. It's the summertime, so we have on our little shorts and our flip-flops. So my point is, the way the world has scheduled it out for us, if we follow their way, we will surely die because we're not under his covering. And that is what he's talking about in Ezekiel for today's time. When anybody would say, well, you mean I'm just going to do X, Y? I can't believe that. Well, you don't have to believe it, but you do know that if you're not under his covering and you're not following his statutes and you're not living by his ordinances, this is the way that it is. And the unfortunate thing is, only a few of us are given the task to say this. And I say it's unfortunate because you're not hearing it everywhere. And because you're not hearing it everywhere, you have a side eye or an eyebrow raised. Today is the day to make the decision to do it his way and to live according to his statutes, to live according to his ordinances, to carefully adhere to his Sabbaths, to the feast days. It's so fun when you do it. Once you get into it, you get to say, oh my goodness, this was easier than I thought it would be. Because once you put your hands down and surrender, you put them up and say, okay, it's on you. And then you just drop everything and you say, okay, it's on you. He takes it from there, whether it's, washing your car on that day, whether it's, I got a meeting every time it turns around, this meeting moves or every Thursday at this day or every Wednesday on this day. And it just seems like the Sabbaths always seem to move around and they change it. It's hard for me to describe it to my boss, or it's hard for me to describe it to the club or the organization that I'm in, or I'm supposed to be the person collecting the money for this, for the bike club or the book club. And I really am, I got to do this. These are the things that are your idols. These are the things that we can put before him, and that lets us know it is an idol. The job that I had, or the book club that I was in, that was only because of him that he allowed me to even have any of those things. And now I get with that thing and I want to put it before him. He gave it to me. Sometimes, because sometimes we pick our own poison. But for the most part, he gave us X, Y, or Z, and then we go and we put those kids before him. We put that man before him. Women know what you should and you should not, what you're not supposed to do on the Sabbath, and we go, okay, well, but it's my husband and I have to do X, Y, or Z. Really? Try having that conversation. And just saying, nope, don't think so, not today. Here's the scripture. And just stand and be quiet. You don't have to be boisterous. But there are certain things that we have to do to keep his statutes and commandments. The sweet part is he only requires us to take the first step, and he picks it up from there, because that first step is your faith in trusting that he's got you in everything that concerns you. That's all. And remember what we said earlier, and that is that this is the pipeline. It keeps your pipeline clear. You can't receive anything from him if sin is blocking it. That is such a major component. How are the young men, and you'll have to correct me on this one, Ronnie, because I always mix them up. It's the young men with the visions or the dreams, and the old men with the dreams and the young men with the visions, or how else are we going to have all of those things working in this day and age if we're not keeping what keeps us tied to him? Everything that you've been taught has been taught to dissect you and pull you away from him. This draws you back to him. And it's in this day and time that he's going to begin to pour out his spirit. And when he does that, he may pour it out on all flesh. But I guarantee you one thing, that once he just starts to fall out on us, you better be connected to him. You better be connected to him. We have to be. We don't have a choice. I need to be connected to him. I'm going to make this personal because there may be people out there who don't want this, but I'm going to tell you right now, I need him. I need it to fall on me. And I need to make sure, I have to make sure that beyond a shadow of a doubt, I am serving him. I tremble when I think of the fact that I could be doing something else, and that one thing could be the thing that separates me from him for eternity. It is that serious, because it is a covenant. It is a covenant. Ronnie, going right ahead.
If you actually, take the time out to read what he has told his people, I'm telling you, you will be astounded. It's fascinating to see how many times he tells you he's basically saying, please observe my Shabbats. Like, can you do this? Do this. Okay, let's put it like this. We know the story of the Ten Commandments, and I can safely imagine that most likely most of us know um, a vast majority, or have the vast majority of our understanding of these Ten Commandments based on Charlton Heston and what he did on that mountain. Um,
Not Charlton Heston. You said Charlton Heston too. You called his name. Moses.
and what he did on that mountain. But if you look in Exodus and actually read the script, he went up there twice. He went up there twice. The first time it was written, the law on the tablets was written by Yah. It was
Yes.
carved out by Yah and everything. He came down and he broke them immediately. And this is all figurative speech. This is all metaphorical and parable
Correct.
speech. This is all
Correct.
allegory. But and we'll get into that later. But this is my point: is that he went up there twice. When he went up there the first time he came down, he broke them immediately because the people were tripping. The second time he went up and then he came down with the tablet. This time he had to write them down. So understand the metaphor without me going deep into, pulling out some of these nuances. But the first time he wrote it. The second time you gonna have to write it.
Right. Right.
So understand that nuance, and we'll dive deep. We'll dive deep into that at another time. But at this point, the second time when he came down with the set that he had to write, what's the first thing that he said? Does anybody know? And I'm going to go ahead and tell you, but read it for yourself. The first thing he told everybody was obey the Sabbaths.
Because he knew how serious it was. Yah had impressed that upon him.
The second time when he came down, he didn't say, all right, y'all, don't be doing these golden calf worships. Don't be, because if you are observing the Sabbaths, you won't be doing any of this golden calf worship, because it's all intertwined. Their Sabbath and their idolatry and their golden calf worship, it's all intertwined. But if you steer clear from that voice that's telling you what to do, that worldly voice, that Roman voice, whatever you want to call it, the anti-messianic voice, whatever it is that you want to call it, the anti-Yah voice, when you steer clear from it, then you will never, ever stray into that idolatrous mindset, because you are focused on Shabbat. Let me say this again. The first thing he told the people when he came down the second time was, be sure to keep Yah Shabbaths. It is highly impressed upon for his people to keep these Shabbaths. It's real. It's real. And and once again, what? It's a sign between me and you for generations to come. And he said this, 3,500 years ago.
Yeah.
3,500 years ago, he said for generations to come.
Absolutely.
So let's look at that. Exodus 31:12. No. Exodus 31:13. Tell Yasharal, surely you must keep my Shabbats, for this will be a sign between me and you for the generations to come, so that you may know that I am Yah who sanctifies you. So let's get a look at it interlinearly. And forgive me as far as like if I'm screaming in the mic, I'm trying to compensate. You said I was having
No, you're fine now. I listen. I listened out. You're fine now. You're
okay,
fine.
I'm over here. Yeah.
Well, I've got Exodus 31:13 pulled up with interlinearly now. I got it all here. You want me to go ahead and read it, or you got it? And Anthony Van Zant, you are hilarious. Charlton Heston, Planet of the Apes, script. And sock puppet sellouts, Jess Vetton. What is this? Jess Vetton, the craft on the bill of goods all along the way. What cracks me up, Anthony, is the depiction of Cleopatra with the lady with the pretty purple eyes, Elizabeth Taylor, with those pretty purple eyes she had. But that's what cracks me up when I see her playing Cleopatra. That just tickles me so. Go ahead, Ronnie.
Yeah, please forgive me. Please forgive me. So
Yeah,
look,
you're good.
Exodus 31:13. It says, you and speak to the sons of Yasharal, saying, truly, scroll up just a tinge. Okay. You and speak to the Yasharal, saying, truly, my Sabbaths you shall keep for a sign me between you and generations throughout. May you know that I am Yahweh. Okay. So look at it. Look at it. And we're supposed to keep it as a what? As a sign between me and you, right? And that's us,
Between he and I, between
he,
him and me. It's
and
personal for
yes,
me.
exactly. Exactly. So look, this is where, so this word is translated into the English as sign, but this is in the English where we get the word oath from.
Absolutely why I keep harping on the term covenant.
So understand what's going on here. This is where we get the word oath from. This is awaf. This is oath, oat. You see that 226? It is
Yeah, I'm going to click that.
strong H226. Now let's look at what this word is. This is the sign that is between him and I. This sign is an oath. It's an awaf. It's from the word, it's a sign, right? It's from the word ava. Awa. It's from the word awa. Click on that real quick. It is a sign, a mark. Describe with a mark. It is a sign. It is a mark. Describe with a mark. It is a sign. It is a mark. It is a sign. It is a
A
mark.
mark. Described with a mark.
Understand that we take so much time and utilize so much energy into trying to figure out what the mark of the bad guy is, and we miss what the mark of Yah is for him and
Ooh.
I.
For our
Stop.
salvation. My, my, my.
Listen, stop worrying about what they have going on the sidelines. Get your head in the game. Worry about the mark that you're supposed to have. It's really, really, really daunting. It's a daunting task to try to figure out what all these other people are doing when you still don't know who you're supposed to be. Please understand what I'm saying. This is a mark. And we worried about what the mark of the beast is. Until you figure out what the mark you need to have is, you don't need to be worried about what the mark of the beast is. You're arguing and trying to justify and debate within yourself or amongst others how it's not that vital or that important to keep this Shabbat, and you know what I mean? And it's Sunday,
Yeah.
Saturday, or what is it, and this and that, and you're having arguments or conversations contrary to what Scripture has commanded us to do, then you don't have the mark of Yah. Meanwhile, you are in a strong delusion, thinking that you have it all tight and that your bow tie is tied up properly and your collar looks sharp and you're trying to figure out all this other stuff, and you are not understanding what he wants for you and your life.
Absolutely.
This is the mark.
Absolutely.
This is the mark
Absolutely.
between him and you. Okay, I'm going to say this again. This is the mark between you and him that establishes that you are in a bond relationship, a covenant, an oath, an awaf, an awa, a sign, a mark. You are described in the heavenlies with this mark. Marinate on that.
Mm, that is rich. That is rich. Don't worry about the mark of the beast. Make sure you got his mark. Make sure that we all have his sign. It is a sign between him and me, a sign between him and you. And those who hear it and don't want to know it, whoa, whoa, don't click off. Let it marinate a little bit, baby. Don't go nowhere. Hold on to that now. Think about that now. He loves you. Hold on now. Don't click off. Think about that. This is the sign that he's given to you. He said, hey, you know what? This is how I'm going to know who you are.
This is how he's going to know who you are. This is exactly how he's going to know who you are, by this. So this is what's, inadvertent in this whole entire rhetoric that we're bringing to the table, is that there is a mark, and this mark as a whole, as an umbrella, is whose voice are you listening to? Are you listening to Yah's voice and you're going to be marked by all his attributes? Or are you listening to the voice of the world and you will inadvertently you will matter-of-factly be marked by all of the world's attributes?
Look at what Lisa R. Hall said. This right here is so true. We will all have a mark.
And what is it going to be?
Come on now. Come on, Lisa. That's absolutely right. We will all have a mark. And what is it going to be? This is the valley. This is the valley. This is the valley of decision. This is the valley. This is the time. The time is now. Don't get mad. Don't get mad. Don't lose it. Don't get mad. Get right. Don't get mad. Hold it. Hold on to that. Marinate on it. You got a few minutes here to marinate. Marinate on it and make your decision. Make your election sure. Make your election sure. Today is the day of salvation. Understanding the truth and following through with it. Following through with it. This is that truth. This is the way. It is. It ain't cost you a dime. Don't cost you nothing. It don't cost you nothing but just to be obedient to him. Just to know that, oh, taste and see. Oh, taste and see how sweet he is. Oh, taste and see how awesome he is. That he loves you enough to say, hey, you know what? This is how I'm going to know who you are. You ain't got to worry. I see you. But like Lisa said, we will all have a mark. Which one is it going to be? Oh, but did we know that we were going to have a mark? Did we know? Come on. Did you know? We have been geared toward, look at this sign, look at that sign, look what they're doing over here, look what they're doing over there, look what this means, count this and that, then you got this and this and this is 6, and you got that and that, divide that 18 by this and you got that, and then you got, look over there, oh, look what he did, look at his hand sign, look at his gesture, look at his t-shirt, look at his eye, he's covering his face, he's covering an eyeball, look at this, look at the back of the dollar, look, you done looky-looed your way out of salvation by not knowing that you are required to keep his statutes and commandments, and by that mark, he gonna know who you are. There's a purpose for being identifiable. Oh, there's a purpose for being identifiable. I submit there is a purpose. You got it all over there in Revelation. Because those who got that mark gonna be up under some of them green, luscious leaves and all on the blades of grass that's mentioned in the book of Revelation when them big old horse-sized locusts come on up out of there with the stingers and start jacking cats up. Oh, there is a reason. There is a reason. Oh, come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. Come on, somebody. I know you getting it. Somebody is getting it. Oh, yeah. Come on, somebody. You getting it.
There's also a reason why he's telling you that his sheep hear his voice, and to none other voice they would heed.
Because there's going to be other voices talking.
And all these other voices, because of the decisions you're making based on listening to that voice, you're being marked. That's the mark. So what it is it's the mark of you listening to somebody else. And it's obvious that you listen to somebody else because you're doing what they told you to do. So you're identifiable in that. But I'm listening to the voice of Yah, and he's telling me to do it this way. And contrary to the entirety of the culture that I'm surrounded by, I must do what Yah told me to do, or there's going to be consequences on the back end. However, there's going to be blessings. I'm going to I mean, what does he say? He said that you are going to live a life of longevity and abundance in the land.
Hallelujah.
There's joy, exceeding.
Unspeakable joy. Unspeakable joy. And all it costs is our obedience and love and reverence to him. That's all it costs. That's a beautiful thing, Ronnie.
So when you drop the ways of the world, when you realize that when we realize that we are the rich young ruler, and we drop the ways of the world and follow him, then we are going to be able to obtain rest when it's all said and done. We are all going to be able to obtain rest. Now, when you continue to look at all the references where, in scripture where it tells you, this word here, this word oath, this word awaf, this word that they translate sometimes into sign. Look it up. It tells you that this is what is going to be in your forehead. That's your thoughts, your every thought. He tells you to meditate on the law day and night. David tells you that, and we read Psalms. When I was coming up, we had the little Bible books that just had the New Testament, but it had the Psalms and the Proverbs in it. And they discarded the entirety of the Old Testament, but they kept the Psalms and the Proverbs. And the Psalms and the Proverbs constantly tell you to abide by the law.
Yeah, it does. Yeah. Rachel says, the right hand is what you do. The forehead is what you believe.
That's exactly right. So when you follow the path of that word awaf that we're looking at in the Strongs, you'll see there's several times when it talks about this sign being in your forehead. It's how you think, and how you think is how you operate. We need to connect these dots. I'm not saying that there's not a mechanism in place, an actual literal mechanism in place that is a mark as well. I'm saying this is the totality of the concept of the principle of the mark. You're following the wrong voice, and it's going to lead you astray in doing all these side things that should have never been a part of our everyday, activity. And it's going to cause us to bring about our own demise. And we are in a strong delusion if we think otherwise. We are in a strong delusion if we think otherwise. And this all coincides with with Ezekiel 20, because in 19, they're having the lamentation to why we fell off the map in the first place. And 20 is telling you why, because we do not abide by his statutes. We think it a very, frivolous thing. We don't even consider it. And of course, what they call the New Testament, that's called being lawless. It's called being lawless. I really hope this makes sense, and I would like to continue and go on and on about this if we want and if we can. But yeah, I hope this is making sense.
It makes a lot of sense. It is 1 hour, 58 minutes together that we have been spending, teaching, fellowshipping with each other, listening to this word, and being fed by Yah's word. And so what I want to tell everybody is I'm very happy that you guys are all here. And this is the opportunity and this is the chance for us to get ourselves together with him. There's only one way to do that, and that is to live according to his word, not anyone else's word, not what anybody else has told us, or not what anybody else has shown us. The only way that we can do this is by the way he wants us to. Ronnie, before we close out, is there anything else that you'd like to add? We're working on 2 hours. We're trying to keep these right at the 2-hour mark, no more over than that, because it messes with the algorithm. So we're going to try to keep it below that. And then if we have to come back, we can come back. If we have to come back and do a, what do we call them? The midnight oils or whatnot, we'll do it. But we just want to make sure that everybody has this word. I don't want to over inundate you with stuff because I want you to go eat this. I want you to go feast onto this. I really, really do. Ronnie, you want to add anything?
Yeah, let this be a starting point. Like really dive in and let the proverbial tentacles spread out and see where they go. It's fascinating, how far we've strayed from the truth of the truth of the truth, and what we think is the truth nowadays, because we're listening to the wrong voice. But let this be a starting point, and yes, it would be my privilege to come back and continue on if I'm welcome.
You are more than welcome. So I thank each and every one of you. The song that you guys hear in the background is one of Ronnie's newest songs. And we have some new music that we're going to be uploading here for you to have your enrichment with the word, because that's what it is. It's full of the word. So we're going to be uploading some songs. As a matter of fact, I'm converting some now so that you guys will be able to listen to some of them and just really, really, really exchange what we listen to in the world for what he wants us to keep us strong. We all like music, and especially when it's about him. So that's the purpose of me letting you know that there's some good stuff coming. I want to thank each and every one of you guys for coming out, hanging out with us today. Eventually, very soon, we will do, I like it when we do our midnight oils. It seems to be the people who really want to be here show up. So I tell you what, I have a show that's scheduled for tomorrow night. Not saying that Ronnie may be here, but I definitely know that we may push that. I may push it all the way back, and we'll just go on ahead and, maybe we'll midnight oil that one. I don't know. But I love each and every one of you. I want each of you guys to remember what we always say here on this channel, and that is that man shall not live by bread alone, but by every word that proceeds out of the mouth of the Most High. You guys continue to take care of yourselves and take care of one another. Until we see each other again, please continue to be blessed. To receive instant notification each time I upload, please hit the subscribe button and the bell notification.
Helping